Hello everyone, it's Kelly Hampton and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be sharing with you channeled guidance from Archangel Michael to help you understand the healing power of stones and gems. So let's begin. The study of gems and their healing properties has occurred in mankind's mind for centuries and will continue to occupy mankind's mind for centuries to come. It is important for all souls, Michael says, to immerse themselves in some form of healing practice to help raise the collective consciousness during the shift. For those unfamiliar with what I mean by the shift in Ascension, I mean the decade beyond 2012. Ascension is a multi-dimensional, multi-galactic rise in vibration. There are certain stones, gems, and gemstones that have been in awareness for many thousands of years. What I hope you will also consider before we examine some of them and their use is to know that new gems and gemstones are being found on other planets as interstellar explorations speed up. This is very exciting indeed. An entire new horizon of healing awaits discovery. No one be afraid of these discoveries as they sift to your planet. Instead, embrace them with all the hopefulness of greeting a new friend. Before I explain the healing benefits of specific gems and gemstones, I also plan to explore the use of them in collaboration with one another, not just simply noting the properties of one versus another. Why is this noteworthy? I believe that it is noteworthy in the context of understanding that any negative situation, encounter, person, place, or thing can be corrected vibrationally through the use of stones, gemstones, and gems. Think of the implication of this, Michael suggests. For some of you, this may seem impossible, and for others, it may seem primitive. However, I will seek to enlighten the majority of souls in new and profound ways. Now let us begin at the beginning. The beginning to me is the time of the great collision. I'm speaking of the great cosmic collision which created the galaxies. From this first moment of creation, the stellar and interstellar birth was applauded. During this time, many unusual stones, gems, and gemstones were formed, some of them being Herculite, Paconite, Dragonian, and Plutonian gems. Stones and gems were not categorized until much later. This is important to understand as our basis so that we can move forward to the present and then into the future. Creation is constantly creating. There is no end to this. In fact, during the time you are living in is considered to be one of the most spectacular and novel expanding times in mankind's history. Think of this. As you age and change bodily form, so does the environment around you. In trying to make this parallel, I am stating that stones, gems, and gemstones undergo a genetic metamorphosis similar to the evolution of mankind. That is, they are living organisms which, like mankind, will continue to grow and evolve and emit greater and greater frequencies or healing powers. Who or what is responsible for this tremendous force, you might be asking? Is it the angelic realm? Is it God Creator? Is it purely and simply stellar in nature? I say to you that yes, each of these statements is true and none of these are true. Michael says, have I thoroughly confused you by now? I certainly hope not. To some degree, all living organisms have an internal infinite mind. Therefore, if there are 8 million galaxies with 8 million stars, planets, asteroids, and other galactic forms, then I am saying that there are 8 million separate infinite minds for each. I will pause here for your consideration. So feel free to comment below if you have some thoughts on that. He went on to say, "Let me resume the Siri Theory with you a little bit later in this transmission. It is these infinite forces which keep creating and forming new worlds, new earthly plates, and new electromagnetic grids. More simply put, as the universe expands, everything in it expands." So when we're thinking of the healing powers of stones and gems, I ask you to open your mind to these possibilities. I will go on to state that if a person is suffering from a common head cold, instead of applying pressure to the nasal cavities as one healing source, they could just as easily and more effectively use a combination of crystals and stones. For this specific example, the stones and crystals would be lime, cobalt, and magnesium in combination. You may be saying, why would I choose to lay heavy stones on my face to heal this condition? And I would respond, it would be unnecessary to lay them on your face, but to circle the head in them. Perhaps you are asking yourselves, Archangel Michael, I thought that you have taught us that all bodily aches and pains and diseases first begin in the human mind. So why would you lead us to a healing tool like this instead of correcting thoughts? To which I reply, because for some, thought recorrection is difficult, time-consuming, or not believed. This is simply a healing alternative once the condition is present. Let us continue by citing additional examples of some common ailments for your understanding. To heal a surface cut or speed the healing of a surface cut on the skin, I suggest using bloodstone, which has been energized. What do I mean by energizing a stone or gemstone? I mean using one's own innate healing power to draw out the energy. Isn't it so much more powerful to realize one's own power than to give it over to another source? So activation means, in this sense, this message, holding the stones within one's hands to collect, revitalize, or rejuvenate the healing life force properties within the specific stone or gem. It's a bit like sleeping in your own bed and warming up the covers before slipping into them. To further your teaching in this example, how many activated bloodstones would one use depends upon their size and inherent qualities. This experimentation is an active element of creative solution. What I'm attempting to say is experimenting with the stone in this example will ignite the life force energy of creativity. You may find it helpful to know in advance that each and every bodily ache, pain, and disease can be corrected by knowing the best combination of healing stones or gems. What is also very exciting is that the stones and gems which will help in healing aids in your world is going to be found in what some of you may call outer space. Yes, the healing solution to your world's devastating disease which attacks blood cells is going to be found in the new stones and gems which will be discovered in the next 2 decades. If I shared with you that there is going to be a major breakthrough in many of your world's most devastating diseases during this time, I hope I will have excited you. It would be my wish. The Archangel continues, there are colonies in space which exist now that are growing new forms of gems and stones with this advanced intelligence, much like corn, cotton, and beets are planted and grown in your world. Imagine for another moment that there are colonies of highly charged gold being propagated, colonies of highly charged magnetized plutonium, calcite, manganese, and many of the other commonly mined stones known in your world today, in addition to there being dozens of new ones. If the medical communities in your world would embrace this idea that stones and gems have more healing power than a surgery, imagine what a profound change this would be. There will be a time in the not-so-distant future where this begins. We are working on this now. By now, some of you may be asking, well, how do I learn what stones aid in healing? I say to you that I will supply a basic list for your understanding with the hope that many of you will use your strong powers of intuition to refine the number, the size, and the placement of them. Lastly, before I list these, I wish to share that additionally, there are combinations of stones and gems, like a combination lock, which will serve mankind's healing in the future. So I say, experiment, experiment. Each of you has the infinite mind, infinite knowledge within you to heal the tiniest of scrapes to the largest growing tumor. In no order, the most powerful stones to acquaint yourselves with are gold, silver, copper. By the way, all of those are used in star healing, intergalactic energy, and many other healing processes, activations that the guides have had me use, along with blue-veined crystal. We use that for home space elevation. Gold-veined crystal, violet-veined crystal, opalescent pearl, talc, bloodstone, tourmaline, and green Mars stone, M-A-R-S, like the planet. I know many of you will debate this with me and state that you have had many miraculous healings or improvements with other stones and consider them to be the most powerful, to which I would acknowledge. However, the point of this transmission is to open your eyes and ears to the wisdom that as the world changes, shifts, and evolves, so does the healing capacity of stones and gems. If one is open to the listing of most powerful stones listed here, then next I ask you to be open to the idea that there are particular stone and gems of which I'm speaking, those that have been mined within the last 10 years. How does one know the age of a stone for healing? Michael says it's easy. Ask it. Yes, I said ask it. Remember, it is a living thing, such as you, with a life force energy, and if you're willing to embrace this idea, then you are ready to start healing. Many Aboriginal cultures have known this wisdom for eons upon eons of time. Other vanished civilizations also did, like Atlantis and Chiron. Also, those who know Mother or Mother Earth will find this information very easy to digest. It will be easier to connect with your authentic self, your source, your knowingness now. With many of you already noticing a marked expansion of your telepathic or knowingness. For those that have, I honor you, and for those that are yet to expand in this way, I suggest you experiment today. Thanks so much for listening. Take care. Be blessed.